Welcome to the Beat Sessions, your place for all things music. I'm today's host, Noah McNamee, and today we're going to talk about Ty Segall, more specifically his most recent record, Possession, released on May 30th. Possession is Segall's first release since August of 2024, when he released an instrumental album called Love Rudiments. Love Rudiments is a 5-song LP consisting of percussive instrumentals. The songs on Possession were all co-written by Segall and Matt Yoka, who's an LA-based filmmaker and a longtime collaborator. Yoka and Segall have collaborated in the past on some of Segall's music videos. Segall's a pretty big name in the indie music world, lately been experimenting with all kinds of sounds and themes in his past few records. Past few records have had sounds that are described as anything from synth-driven pop to progressive punk. However, in Possession, Segall stepped away from the experimental sounds in order to opt for a more stripped-back, feel-good vibe on this album. None of the songs in Possession are very experimental, nor do they really push any boundaries in music, but more importantly than either of those things, all the songs on Possession sound good. The musical arrangements work well, it was beautifully written. When the strings are present, it's always necessary. There are horns that come in subtly when they're needed. The bass in all the music fills in all the gaps and really gives the song its soul, and the drums are never overpowering. All of the songs just work together. Overall, the general positives I'd say about this album are the instrumentals are amazing throughout the entire record. I'm consistently impressed with all of the instruments being played, all the performances. There's nobody outshining anybody else on the mix, and it's an album full of feel-good pop rock anthems, you know? The instrumentals, they all feel like they belong on this album. If you would line up just the instrumentals, they would all belong together. They all sound good together, which is a stark contrast to the lyrical themes of the record, which, in my opinion, are all over the place. But I'll get into that later. Throughout this entire record, I get little glimpses of the Beatles, whether it's the music or sometimes even Segall's vocals sounding somewhat like John Lennon. I also get little glimpses of Steely Dan in here with the basic and easy listening sound, despite Segall's prolific use of other instruments. It's very interesting how you can make it sound so simple while also including so many instruments. It's really amazing. Compared to what I've read about Ty Segall's previous works, this album seems to be much safer in terms of experimentation, which is not a necessarily negative thing at all, especially when it's done as well as it's done here and the music sounds so good. The intro to this record is called Shoplifter. It's a great intro to the album. It's a song about tough times and people not being able to afford things, and so the speaker in this song is a shoplifter. Some key lyrics are rent's unstable, she can't afford a bed, or she just wants to rest her head. So it's a very relevant song culturally right now, and on top of that, it also sounds very nice. It sets a great tone for the rest of the record, and I really like the instrumental. In the outro, there's a moment with a saxophone that just sounds amazing. There's another moment in the outro where the vocals are layered in a way where it really sounds like the beginning of Seal's song Kiss from a Rose, when all the vocals are bouncing around and all layered. It's a very good intro track. Very big fan of that song. The next song is the title track Possession. Very strong instrumental again. I'll probably repeat myself in that way lots of times throughout this review. But the lyrics were about the Salem witch trial. There's a lyric about "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live," heard in the halls of Harvard. Another lyric saying, "Bridget was the first who hung, though she is not the evil one." So, despite the lyrics telling a story about wrongly sentencing someone to death, Segall still manages to sound upbeat, both with the delivery of the vocals and the arrangement of the music. In my opinion, this is definitely one of the stronger tracks on the album, for sure. The following track is called Buildings. It seems like a upbeat motivational song about never giving up. Some lyrics are "Don't stop, you can make it tonight." There's some very interesting musical segments with some very nice keys. The keys, the drum, and the bass really, really drive this song. It's a very nice sounding, definitely rhythm driven song, though. The next track is called Shining, and for me, the highlight of this track is the bass line. On top of being another great instrumental on this album, the bass line really shines out to me. I believe the lyrics are about the speaker being a car. There's a lyric about him saying, "I'm a custom wrapped sedan." Not totally sure what he's talking about, but I know that it sounds really great. Same with most of the songs on this record. Next track is Skirts of Heaven, another feel good pop rock song. I don't have too much to say about this one. It is a good song, but I feel like it kind of fell into the background, kind of blended in. There wasn't really enough going on for it to stand out for me, but there is a few musical breaks where some horns come in. The horns sound really nice. Very faint, very subtle, but they do their job very well. The next track is another highlight. The song's called Fantastic Tomb. It's a song about being recruited by a stranger in a bar to rob a house and then getting trapped in the basement of that house by the man. There's a lyric that says, "There's a man who's worth more than a country could make, and if you help me with the job, I'll give you half the take." Later on in the song, they say, "We walked downstairs with bags in our hands, and then he kicked me inside, locked in the cellar, taken for a ride." So this guy gets locked in the basement, and it says, "In 1,000 years, they'll find me here." So they're robbing a house, and then the dude gets locked in a basement. That's the song, it sounds like. I'm a big fan of the drums. At least I could understand the story of this song, so that's a highlight of the lyrics, I suppose. But once again, lyrics all over the place, music very good. Next song's called The Big Day. This song's definitely just supposed to make you feel good. It's talking about how it's your big day and he's going to throw you a party to welcome you home. It's a pretty short song, only a couple verses with a short musical break in between, but I think it's very good. It does a great job of making you feel good, which was the point of the song. So not too much more to say about this one. I think the instrumental outro was very, very good and fit the end of the song very well. The next track is called Hotel. Lyrics on this one, it's another strange one. The speaker talks about renting a bird to get around. Not totally sure what that means. It's another repeated lyric in this song is about going away and not coming back until you've eaten a peach. It's another example of him just talking while making really pretty music behind it. Really pretty music, really off-putting lyrics, pretty common theme on this record. Next song's called Alive. It's another short and sweet, feel-good song. I don't really have much to say besides that the strings that came in between the verses were beautiful. Other than that, the track didn't have a ton of special anything to me. It was just another song. Right before the last song on the record, called Another California Song, which is hands down my favorite song on this album. The arrangement was amazing. It's super interesting musically, and I actually didn't hate the lyrics on this one. The lyrics, in my opinion, were saying that regardless of what's going on in life, one thing that's constant is music, or in this case, one thing that's constant is Another California Song. So he talked about his landlord being on his butt about turning stuff in on time and all this other problems in his life, but one thing that's constant is music, Another California Song. It was a great, triumphant effort to finish this record and easily my favorite song on the album. So, vinyl please or vinyl pass? I think for this one, it's definitely going to be a vinyl please. This was an amazing record musically. I wasn't a big fan of the lyrics, but that doesn't change that the music sounded good. It was a fun sounding, easy listening, feel good record. And I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I was a big fan. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the things you need to do to make this channel blow up in 2025. I've been Noah with the Beat Sessions.